And joining us now to discuss the big, beautiful bill is Keith Gross, Army veteran and legal analyst. Good afternoon, Keith, and of course, happy 4th of July to you. Before we talk about the bill, I think it would be remiss of me if I didn't start with something in spirit of the holiday. So, what does Independence Day mean to you, and what does patriotism look like today?
Independence Day is a day where we recognize how lucky we are to have a nation that was carved out of a world ruled by kings. Our forefathers fought off the most powerful empire in the world to form a nation where we can have a government by and for the people. Today, we honor that sacrifice and we celebrate that 249 years ago, we were given this great nation.
Do you think over the years, has the meaning of the holiday changed?
Sure, I think it has for a lot of people, but that doesn't remove the solemn nature of a holiday like today. The independence of America was hard fought and it's special. America is special.
You know, given the importance of this holiday, Independence Day, I'm wondering what is your view on how should schools or perhaps media as well teach the meaning of this day?
One of the most important things that our founding fathers did is they established our Constitution, which delineates how the government is prohibited from interfering with the free natural rights of citizens. Our Constitution clarified that our rights don't come from the government, they come from a divine creator, and the government's prohibited from interfering with or infringing on those core rights. I think schools need to focus on the importance of our Constitution and how, if we maintain adherence to those key provisions, we'll be able to maintain this republic for a long, long time. But if we take our eye off the ball and if we get away from those founding provisions in our Constitution, all of the freedoms that we enjoy can begin to crumble. Patriotism means honoring our Constitution, in short.
Right. I mean, you make a good point there. Even yesterday, Speaker Mike Johnson was talking about, how the government doesn't give rights to people. It's God who gives those rights to people. And he was talking about this during the signing of the big, beautiful bill. So let me ask you about that now. Who do you think are the winners of this bill?
I think America at large wins under the big, beautiful bill. Take senior citizens, for example. Now, 90% of senior citizens who are reliant on Social Security for their source of income, they're no longer going to be taxed on that core income stream. I think that's common sense for most Americans. It's always seemed very silly that the American government would write someone a check and then demand portion of that check right back in the form of taxes. It's more appropriate to give these people who've been paying in for years their fair due because Social Security was never government money to begin with. That's money that the people have paid in, and they were promised to get it back. So I'm glad to see that tax being cut. There are a number of other major cuts in there that are going to do a lot of good for Americans. The ability to depreciate business assets is going to fire up small business growth across this nation, which means more jobs, which means higher wages. The deportation of illegal immigrants was well funded in this bill. That means securing future elections by ensuring that only U.S. citizens are present to vote in those elections. If we start adhering to our Constitution and to our laws and by enforcing those laws, America can heal and we can restore the freedoms that we've been losing for the last handful of decades.
Do you think this bill fits neatly into Trump's broader agenda of his second term and as well his first term, which is to make America great again?
I do. This bill does a lot of the things that Donald Trump promised on the campaign trail. It funds securing our southern border. It funds mass deportations. It funds a law that ensures that there's no tax on Social Security, no tax on tips. That's Donald Trump's promises from the campaign trail that he delivered in this bill. Now, this bill is not a funding bill per se. There's still going to be a separate appropriations bill that sets the level of funding for things like the Department of Education, Department of Labor, things like that. But this bill contains some of the largest cuts that we've seen in decades. And while a lot of people on the right claim it didn't cut enough, it's one of the largest cuts we've seen in decades. It included key things like cutting the tax stamp that is due anytime you buy a certain type of firearm or suppressor in the United States. That unconstitutional provision remains in effect in part, but this bill deleted part of that unconstitutional law. And while it's not perfect, it's a good start.
Okay, There are some out there, I'm sure, calling this a legacy defining moment. Would you say that? Do you agree with that? Why or why not?
I think every day of Donald Trump's administration is a legacy defining moment. He is a special president. He's not adhering to status quo. He doesn't care if someone's been doing it wrong in the US government for 20 years. He's going to look at the situation and say, I don't care that it's been done wrong for the last several decades. We're going to start doing it the way the law reads, the way the Constitution reads. And so that really will be Donald Trump's ultimate legacy, securing an America First policy, adhering to the Constitution, and handing that off to the next president.
Okay, say I'm an everyday American living my life. What is going to be the biggest impact on my daily life, do you think?
Well, I think you're going to see wage increases and business growth. That's going to rev up the economy in a way we haven't seen in a long time. If we want to have a stable economy where things cost less relative to wages, we've got to increase relative wages and we've got to ramp up productivity here in the United States. This bill will do exactly that by ensuring businesses have the capital and the incentive they need to grow their businesses domestically. This couples well with the tariff policies that Donald Trump's already putting into place and that the Treasury and Commerce departments are working through. Because if we ensure that we have incentivized domestic production on a tariff and foreign trade front, couple that with these tax breaks that businesses will get for employing people, for deploying equipment, for engaging in important areas like research and development. Those things are all incentivized in this bill. And while they may not seem directly connected to an everyday consumer's life, I guarantee you they will make an impact at the cash register.
Okay, Keith, I'll just get your comments on one more thing. How do you think this bill will be remembered in the future, years into the future?
Well, I think looking back, people are going to see that it was a lot of propaganda to state that this was a terrible bill, that it kicked people off of Medicaid, etc. The idea that this was some wealth transfer for billionaires is also quite silly. The maximum tax rate would have gone up by a few percent, up to right under 40%. And instead, this bill caps the maximum tax rate at just over 37%. The idea that that is somehow a handout or a gift to wealthy Americans is preposterous because it assumes that the government owns all of your income, and if they let you keep any, that must be a handout. The wealthiest Americans are already paying, by a vast majority, most of the taxes received by the United States government. They're already unfairly taxed, yet the left would have you believe they're not paying their fair share. That was one of the key talking points used in opposition to this bill. And looking back at it years from now, people will see that that talking point was false and that by incentivizing business growth in the United States, we have improved our economy.
Well, Keith, again, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Great to speak with you. Thanks so much.